stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello race fans, welcome to Hickory Motor Speedway. We are live here for the Virtual American Short Track Tour. Qualifying already underway. I'm Liam Irving, joined up in the booth by Corey B. Corey, how's it going tonight?
Tracks in America.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, we're located here in the Carolinas. A lot of short track history has happened here. Guys of high prestige have raced here. Dale Jr. kind of cut his teeth here. All of the Earnhardts did in terms of the kids. Kelly and Kerry also ran here. And see Dominic Chisholm going around there. Braxton DeWeese puts down the fastest lap of the qualifying session so far. Adam Johnson out here making his debut in the Bojangles number 8. Mo Perry also out on the racetrack. Ali Fonseca puts down his first lap. We'll see where he places. We'll go ahead and give you guys the tower up on the side so you can see who's quick and maybe who's not so quick. Fonseca moves up into 7th place. DeWeese is back out onto the racetrack to try to improve on his pole time. The 14:52 has him a 10th and a half in front of second, or rather, half a 10th in front of second place. Definitely a good time to have here on a short track. 14:52 compared to a 14:59. See what DeWeese can do. Danny Cochran now jumps into second place with a 55 on his final lap. Can DeWeese improve on his? No, he touches the wall there. That's gonna, I mean, he's not gonna be able to improve, but 14:52. That's his pole time. Danny Cochran in second. Ryan Honeycutt going to be our final driver to qualify here today in that 75 machine. 10 cars have put down 3 laps. Ryan Honeycutt, he's working on his first right now with just under 2 minutes left in qualifying as he crosses the line. Oh, big sideways moment there. He's going to have to reset, retry it. Actually, that was his first lap there. He jumps up to 4th. So, giving it everything he's got coming up off of the corner. Now he's take his little warm-up lap. Try for one last attempt. He's going to start 4th in the heat race. The wide run, he tries to take through turns 3 and 4 to get a nice exit coming up off. Through 1 and 2, touches the apron just a little bit, helps him turn a little. Down the back straightaway. Not much of straightaways. Hey, not much for straightaways here at Hickory. Honey comes sideways to turn it around. Unable to improve. Actually, he did improve, just not in terms of track position, but he was a hair quicker on that second time around. So that's going to do it for qualifying here. Let's maybe see if we can get into... it doesn't look like Braxton's going to be able to be available for a pole sitter interview, so go ahead and take a look at some track facts here at Hickory. 0.34, it's about a third of a mile here. 81 degrees this evening. Track temperature a little bit warmer, but as that sun goes down, that's going to continue to decrease. Not a whole heck of a lot of wind or cloud cover. So that should leave these drivers leaving with a little bit more slick conditions. Qualifying just about ready to wrap up here. Braxton DeWeese is going to be on the pole for the heat race here. Danny Cochran, Dominic Chisholm, Ryan Honeycutt, and Mark Keeler round out your top 5. And one of the important things to note here is that Danny Cochran, Braxton DeWeese, they come into this race tied for the points lead. We've got this race and one more after this. The top 2 are coming into the race tied in terms of points. We're in for a phenomenal championship battle coming up in front of us here. I tell you what, these guys are looking at it as I just got to beat that guy on the racetrack, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't factor in bonus or penalty points that get distributed among some drivers, and, you know, it could theoretically come back out of this Hickory race tied again.
They definitely can, and wouldn't that be a treat for us next week at Nashville Fairgrounds, where we go for 150 laps. It'll be our longest race of the season. In terms of laps, at least, we did tie it earlier on at, I believe, North Wilkesboro. Asheville Fairgrounds, that's going to be a tough one for these guys to get around. 150 laps means it's going to be an endurance-style event for these drivers. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we've still got 15 laps and then 130 to get it done here at Hickory in the High Rock Mustangs 130 for the Virtual American Short Track Tour. So the thank of First Responder Mercy Medical Transportation Dash getting ready to get the green flag here. We'll go through your starting lineup. Braxton DeWeese over Danny Cochran, Dominic Chisholm, Ryan Honeycutt, Mark Keeler, Adam Johnson, Mo Perry, Brandon Elvis, Ali Fonseca, Aaron Kralik, and Thomas Walter rounding out the field here today. Just a couple more quarters before we get ourselves some racing action here at Hickory. I tell you what, this is a lot of people's favorite short track in terms of the NASCAR community, the NASCAR family. We're about to see these guys lace it up, get ready to roll, tie their shoes tight, pull their belts tight. Coming up out of turn number 4, green flag is out. Braxton DeWeese leads them down into turn number 1. Dominic Chisholm trying to get down below Danny Cochran, looks to be able to make it at least side by side, getting into 3. That top side not really working as well as the 2 wants it to. That Larry Arts Productions number 2 staying stout up on the outside, coming up off of turn number 4. Here comes Honeycutt with a big run into the entry of turns 1 and 2. Honeycutt keeps it off the back bumper of Chisholm, but just barely, as now he tries to work to the inside of Danny Cochran as well. There is a huge hole, though, behind that 75 if Cochran wants to get down.
He absolutely gets on behind Ryan Honeycutt, but then he'll look back down turn 3, and he gets it back done. Good job.
Yeah, amazing move there. Pulls that crossover fairly well. You know he's got a quick car, and you know that with only 12 laps to go here in this heat race, it's a 15-lap race. You don't have a whole heck of a lot of time to do anything or to correct your mistakes. So to be able to get back around that 75 this quick, this early on, definitely good for Danny Cochran. But he's got a windshield full of Dominic Chisholm right in front of him here, as he is just not sure how to get around. Meanwhile, we've got a big-time battle here with Mark Keeler and Aaron Kralik. Ali Fonseca tried to take advantage of both of them. Into the wall goes the 8 machine, the 08 Mark Keeler. Haven't seen him around a whole heck of a lot this season, but I tell you what, he's trying to show up at Hickory, make a heck of a showing. So Aaron Kralik's going to get around him, put Mark Keeler into 10th place. Aaron Kralik up into 9th.
Definitely a tough little track to get past someone. You almost just got to wait for him to make a mistake or intimidate him a little bit into making a mistake and wash up the racetrack a little bit, then sneak your nose underneath. You see exactly that happening up here between Honeycutt and Cochran. Honeycutt trying to make Cochran wash up, and oh my, almost had a little bit of contact down the straightaway there. Oh wow.
They might have touched, but like you said, Corey, it looked like NASCAR 2005. The 75 hit that intimidator button. The 2 cars started getting sideways, and now all of a sudden there is a pathway for the 75 to complete that pass. Put Ryan Honeycutt up into 3rd place here with 6 laps to go in the heat race. Braxton DeWeese continues to lead over Dominic Chisholm. Chisholm chasing him down just a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be enough as Danny Cochran looks back to the inside of Honeycutt. Almost a little bit more contact in turns 1 and 2.
You almost just have to send it in deep, hope your car sticks enough with the grip level, and you don't door the guy. You do not want to door the guy. That will send you to the EOL of the line.
Cochran all the way on the apron, though, that time through turns 1 and 2. Now you see Honeycutt getting a little bit loose, trying to get forward, trying to get that position, trying to get clear of the 2 car. All the way down to the apron. Once again goes Danny Cochran. Meanwhile, we've got 3 laps to go in this race. The battle for the lead hasn't really closed down much. Positions are trading towards the back. Thomas Walter losing a ton of spots here. 2 laps to go, though, for Braxton DeWeese, as he's got Dominic Chisholm trying his hardest to chase him down for that pole spot in the feature.
Yeah, Chisholm would love nothing more than to have control over the green flag in the feature, but not a whole lot of time to get this thing done. Less than a 3/8 of a mile to go. He ain't gonna have enough time anyways. DeWeese out of turn 4, gonna pick up your only heat race win. Chisholm 2nd, Honeycutt will have 3rd, Cochran 4th, and Brandon Elfs comes home 5th.
And a crash at the end involving Ali Fonseca, Aaron Kralik. Kralik crosses the line backwards in front of Adam Johnson. Thomas Walter and Ali Fonseca will round out the field here in a wild finish here to the heat race. We'll go ahead, jump over to the chat real quick. We see Good Evening Race Fans. He's on now out of Chris DeWeese. Alan's Art Images, always a fan of DeWeese. Carson Sherman says, how can we race? Well, Virtual American Short Track Tour, they're definitely looking to recruit for next season, so we'll try to get with the league owner and show you how, tell you how to get involved. I would say search Virtual American Short Track Tour on iRacing, join the league that way, but we can definitely get in touch with Danny a little bit later, try to get a simpler path for you guys. Alan's Art Images, couple of rock on signs, so we appreciate that. We're gonna rock on with the starting grid here. Braxton DeWeese sits on the pole. He won the heat race over Dominic Chisholm. Then Ryan Honeycutt, Danny Cochran, Brandon Elvis, Mo Perry, Aaron Kralik, Adam Johnson, Ollie Fonseca, and Thomas Walter rounding out the field. I'm not sure what's going on with Kralik and Fonseca right now, but a little bit of contact before the start. Like Fonseca maybe tapped into the back end of Kralik, and Kralik went back.
Maybe some retaliation there from the last lap of the heat race.
Ooh, that is very possible, Corey.
Keep an eye on that little story at the back.
Brandon Elvis in the 054 on the scoring, not to be confused with the car that he's almost right next to, the 54 of Mo Perry. Different paint scheme we're seeing out of the 54, and we haven't seen Brandon in a couple of weeks, so it's good to see him out here. Another driver, Ryan Honeycutt, you saw how fast he was in the heat race, able to take away that third spot. But it's coming down to Braxton Louise and Dominic Chisholm on the front row once again. The pace car is going to make that hard left turn. The field is in the hands of Braxton Louise. Green flag is out, and we are underway in the High Rock Mustangs 130 here at Hickory. Dominic Chisholm trying to stay strong on the outside. We haven't seen the outside able to work at all. Chisholm tries to cut back down almost into the back of Braxton Louise. Tries to cross him over a little bit. Looks down to the inside, down the front straightaway. Nothing doing there. And they're side by side for 5th place. Look at Brandon Elvis working to the inside of Mo Perry. Going to be able to complete that pass coming up off of turn number 4. Gets clear down the front straightaway. Like we mentioned in the heat race, there's not a lot of straightaway to try to clear somebody here, so if you can get it done, you got to try to get up quick. We see a side-by-side battle just behind these guys with Mark Keeler and Ali Fonseca. Keeler's going to take advantage of that one. He's going to get the position, put him up to 8th place. He's lost one spot from where he started. Aaron Kralik was able to get around him on the start, but that 8th machine looking stout. Now Ali Fonseca looking to get to the back bumper. Thomas Walter all over the back bumper of Fonseca. Adam Johnson, a little bit of damage in that heat race crash on the last lap. He's sitting towards the back right now. We look back up to the front. Braxton Louise doesn't have anything for a gap to keep between him and Dominic Chisholm.
Absolutely. You'll see all the drivers here just kind of bide their time, make sure they ain't burning off their tires just quite yet. You got to save all 4 of those rubbers because you do not get a change at all.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up, Corey. We don't get a change in tires. We've seen these races have fuel stops before, but they are not able to come in and change these tires. They have to finish on what they started on, unless they get a flat or something. Then the series obviously, makes that call on their own, but that hasn't even been something we've dealt with all season. And with 2 races to go, I can't imagine it will be. Dominic Chisholm, though, trying different lines. Wide entry this time, trying to get a wider exit. He's going to lose a lot of time based on that entry, but this time around he dives it in deep on the inside and try to get closer to Braxton Louise. Nothing doing, though. It's 0.3 of a second is the gap right now. As Thomas Walter now to the inside of the 08 machine. Mark Keeler.
Walter trying to get around the 08, just not able to get it done down in turn 1. He'll relinquish that spot again.
Corey, did he touch the grass there?
He about did.
Hey, if he didn't touch it, man, he was as close as you can be. That 57 trying to get everything he can here to get around that 08. Lost the momentum. He's a couple of car lengths back, but right now, that 57, he's a man on a mission. We've seen him run up front quite a bit in this league. He's not used to being one spot in front of last. He does not feel good about being here. You saw him get sideways coming up off of the corner. You know he's pushing hard. Thomas Walter not really where he wants to be at the moment. Looking up a little bit further, we'll go up to Brandon Elvis in 5th place. He's got Mo Perry, the other 54 machine, right behind him, trying to chase down Danny Cochran in front of him. Danny Cochran sitting in 4th place, came into this race tied with Braxton Louise for the points lead. Here comes Elvis looking down to the inside, doesn't quite have enough to get it done, but Elvis looks down to the inside.
Good little race back here from third on back. Your front two, they pulled away from the rest of the field.
They have. By
Still
a
even
hefty
close
margin.
for Adam Johnson at the back here in 11th.
Yeah, Johnson hasn't fallen off a whole heck of a lot. He's still only half a lap down. And I gotta say, 18 laps into a short track race at a track this small, just over a third of a mile. That's pretty impressive. This guy is, you know, he's not quite as quick as these guys, but he's super close in terms of lap times. Sticking right with them, and it just goes to show how competitive this league is week in and week out. I mean, the top 10 are within half a lap of each other after 20 laps. I mean, the entire field's within half a lap of each other after 20 laps in a short track. Parity in this league is definitely something to be commended. But Mo Perry is under fire from Eric Kralik right now in turns 3 and 4.
See Mo Perry scrape the wall there on the front stretch. He's still under pressure by Aaron Kralik. Kralik has the preferred groove, maybe not for the corner exit, but definitely everywhere else.
And he can cut down to the bottom, get that corner entry that he wants, and that's where they gain so much time here at this racetrack. You get a little bit of a run coming up off the outside. Ollie a big moment there. Huge drift out of the 42. But yeah, like we were saying, you get a little bit of a run coming up off the top, but it just doesn't compare to what you get on the bottom side.
Danny Cochran has closed in a little bit more on Ryan Honeycutt. Honeycutt did blink out the last lap a little bit.
And
don't want to blink out not on a little short track like this, especially when you're running that close bumper to bumper. You blink back in, and next thing you know, you're getting turned around.
And I mean, you got to bring up the point, or I'll bring up the point, I should say. When you see a car out in front of a group of cars like this, I mean, Honeycutt, Cochran, Elvis, Kralik back there, Mo Perry, Ali Fonseca.
Oh,
6
caution!
cars. The caution is out.
It might have been called on DeWeese. I caught the tail end of it, but it looked like he was sideways a little.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. Oh! Okay. Contact up front for the race lead.
Well then.
Shout out to Corey for this camera angle here. And yep, we see it right there. Braxton, huge save. Holds on to the race lead. Dominic Chisholm gets into the back bumper, and I gotta say that maybe they were a little trigger happy with that caution flag.
Yeah, iRacing pulling the trigger a little early on throwing a caution flag. You see a couple of drivers coming in for pit stops. Remember, just fuel only. They can't take new tires. And with that slide that Braxton had, that is going to probably play dividends into how his tire saving has been going.
Yeah, that could definitely hurt the way that he's trying to save tires here. You don't want to slide your tires at all, and I'm talking about on braking, on corner exit. But when you get 45 degrees sideways like that, obviously the iRacing officials deemed that they thought it was going to be a bigger incident. The caution came out, and I said before, I think they might have been a little trigger happy on it, but at the same time, you can't hate on it, because who knows what happens when a car is that sideways in front of the entire pack. You'd rather be safe than sorry and not tear up a bunch of race cars. And whether it was the league or iRacing, I think the right call was made. But like you mentioned, we had a couple of pit stops for some fuel. Ryan Honeycutt gets out in second place. Dominic Chisholm making that contact gets sent to the rear, so he's going to have to stay tail end of the longest line. We've got the restart coming right up here, though, Corey. Pace car makes the left turn.
Here we go. DeWeese on the loud pedal. He gets out nice and early over Ryan Honeycutt. Honeycutt going to be able to defend to the inside. Brandon Elvis, Mo Perry side by side. Now going to make that Cochran next to Mo Perry coming out of turn number 4.
And if you're Danny Cochran, the last thing you want to see is Braxton DeWeese leading this race as you've got cars racing you for position. You want this to be as simple as possible for you. You want to try to get up through this field, get up to Braxton, and race him clean for this race win, and try to get as many points as you can to try to get that advantage. But right now, sitting stuck in 4th, looks like he wants to make a move on Brandon Elvis right now, but he just doesn't have the run at the moment. Doesn't quite have the momentum. Braxton leads the race right now, and tell you what, Danny Cochran, he's a man on a mission as he gets closer and closer to the back bumper of the 54. Another quick moment that we saw was the 54 of Mo Perry. Got super wide coming up off of turn number 4 that last time around. Recovers better this time. Here comes Danny Cochran trying a little bit of a crossover. Looks down to the bottom side of Brandon Elvis. Gets down there. He's at the door in turns 3 and 4. Coming up off of turn number 4, though, that 54, the 054, Brandon Elvis gets a strong run. Danny gets down out of the bottom of the racetrack, touches the apron a little bit, gets sideways coming up off of turn number 2. Still side by side, dead even with that 054, and Elvis blinks out. Elvis is back. A little bit of a blink around Danny Cochran there, and I tell you what, he's going to be able to complete that pass, but does Brandon Elvis try a crossover? No, he doesn't quite have enough. Now Mo Perry is going to be all over the back bumper of what he would probably believe to be the imposter 54. These guys are racing for the rights of the 54 machine. Not really. Mo got here first, but I tell you what, they're both driving the same car number. There's got to be a little pride in beating the other.
Oh, absolutely. You see Danny Cochran now, though, right all over the back end of Ryan Honeycutt. You see Cochran, he got a little bit of a wide entrance in turn 3 there. See if he can't make it work down 1. I'm not sure if you're going to see a whole lot of passing in turn 1 versus turn 3. He's trying something, but it's not working quite yet.
The outside
I know what he's
seems
trying.
to work a lot better in turns 3 and 4 versus 1 and 2. He's trying to make it work in 1 and 2, and now he cuts down to the inside of Honeycutt. He's got himself a good run. It works down to the bottom. Pulls a bit of a slider, but didn't even have to slide up. Honeycutt tries the crossover, but nothing doing. And as we were talking about Danny Cochran needing to slice through the field, he's got the job done. There is nobody between him and championship rival Braxton DeWeese as Danny Cochran takes over second place.
So that's exactly what I thought he was trying to do. He chained a couple of corners on wide entrance and got the shallower exit and was able to make it happen on after about 2 laps. That was nice and smooth and smart too. I mean, that's what I would have done. Now we'll see if he can catch up to Braxton DeWeese and try to do the same move, but I'm sure Braxton, if he has a spotter telling him what that Danny did to get by Honeycutt, definitely some communications going on.
08 had himself a problem. We're going to take a look to see what happened to that 08 machine. Almost a lap down at this point. Oh, looks like Thomas Walter had a big problem coming up off of the corner. Both guys get off of the track before they go completely sideways. Might have thought Mark Keeler being stopped on the track could have brought out a caution, but they deemed it with no cars around him that was at least safe enough to keep it going for a couple seconds to see what he was doing. Braxton DeWeese holds out of the race lead. Danny Cochran hot on his tail. DeWeese might have touched the wall a little bit there, trying to use up all the racetrack that he can. Tell you what, though, we've seen multiple times these drivers try to use up all the racetrack and ends up using more tire than they want versus the drivers who are keeping it easy, keeping it on the bottom. Meanwhile, as I say that, Danny Cochran goes wide coming up off of turn number 4, almost scrapes that wall, but tell you what, Corey, we've got 2 car lengths between the top 2. Got a race on our hands as we approach the halfway point, 15 laps away.
Yeah, so Danny right now, he's got to wonder if those tires are a little bit more warmer and worn down from when Deweese got halfway turned earlier. That slide definitely couldn't have done any good for whatever Deweese was trying to save for a late race run. Especially if this thing goes green all the way to the end.
He has the benefit. Obviously, he put a lot of heat into those tires, sliding them like that. But he has the benefit of the fact that the caution came out right away, so he was able to cool those tires down. But also, he did not flat spot them. He didn't lock up the brakes only with sideways. He did not flat spot those tires. It might not be as bad as it could have been for that 8 car, but I tell you what, it's still going to be a tough task with the slide that he took on those tires, the wear that must have gone through on him to keep that 2 machine back behind him. He's got a long way to go, 75 laps to go, lap number 55 out of 130. Danny Cochran is all over the back bumper of Braxton Deweese, though, and I tell you what, looks like third place is closing down that gap a little bit, too. It was over 2 seconds before, and now it's just about 1.3.
Yeah, right now, Honeycutt wants to see out of his front windshield. He wants to see Danny start battling Deweese real hard, but you know, Danny really, he doesn't have to battle Deweese so hard right now, and I'd say wait until 30 or so laps to go and then really pounce. Just make Braxton use up his tires a little bit more than what he probably planned on. Instead of just going by him, and then Deweese can save his tires while playing behind.
I agree with that, but I feel like if the opportunity comes to Cochran, he's got to take it. It's tough because if you take that lead, you start pushing, you get a gap, and then the caution comes out. Maybe you have used up too much of your tires. But I tell you what, Danny Cochran all over that back bumper. He looks down to the inside, peeks it down there, doesn't quite have enough. Deweese blocks that off, but Danny Cochran super quick in that Larry Arts images. Number 2 machine. Looking strong here as he chases down Braxton Deweese coming up off of turn number 2.
Yeah, obviously, if Deweese leaves a little gap open on the bottom lane, I'm sure Danny would more than likely pounce at the opportunity, but I mean, if he doesn't leave that gap open, you just got to ride behind him. Seeing the gap was open right there, but obviously both drivers didn't quite get the entry they needed to.
Oh, Cochran all over the back bumper of Deweese right now. You can see just how close he is. You can see the driver's eyes in this rear view camera. It's a little bit loose there out of Danny Cochran coming up out of turn number 4. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. And I tell you what, there is no good time to do this. But we're going to have to step aside and pay some bills here. Danny Cochran is now 2 car lengths off of the race lead. Just about 1.2 seconds back to third. We're going to step aside, pay some bills. We'll be right back with incredible short track action as we approach, or just now hit the halfway point here at Hickory. The caution has just come out. Your race leader has gone head on into the wall. We are under caution here for the second time today in the virtual American Short Track Tour. High Rock Mustangs 130 at Hickory. That's the second time DeWeese has had contact from a driver behind, and this is definitely not what he wants to have happen in terms of championship hopes, especially racing with his championship rival. We'll go ahead and get you a quick look at what happened to bring out the caution. We were watching on it on our side-by-side. A little bit of contact there out of Danny Cochran. Shoves DeWeese up the racetrack. He gets down to the inside. I say shove loosely. Gets down to the inside. Seems pretty clean here on out. DeWeese gets a run coming up off. Cochran sideways on entry. And once the contact happened, I'm just not entirely sure. It seemed like there wasn't much DeWeese could do in terms of keeping it straight. It seemed like as soon as he tried to correct, it just instantly overcorrected, put him into the outside wall. We're right on board with DeWeese, see what his wheel input looked like.
They have given Danny an EOL, so I'm not sure if I agree with that call, but then again, that's why we're up here in the booth calling the race and not actually race controlling.
Well, I mean, the rule is if you make contact with the car that spins out, brings out the yellow, you're liable to an EOL. And, you know, Danny Cochran got served with one because he was the one who made contact with DeWeese, put DeWeese in the wall and brought out the caution. I think it's an entirely fair penalty for the two car. And I tell you what, Corey, with just over 50 laps to go, now we get to watch both of these guys try to work their way through the field. Because DeWeese looked like he was maybe thinking about pitting there. Decided against it. That's an interesting call. I'm not entirely sure, but got ourselves a restart coming right up here with 52 laps to go. Ryan Honeycutt and Brandon Elvis, two new faces up front. Haven't led laps all day, but Ryan Honeycutt leads them down. Strong restart out of the 75. Looked like the 54 was going to try to cut down in front of Chisholm. Didn't quite have enough, but coming up off of turn number 2, we'll see if he does. Honeycutt has himself a strong lead. Side by side for second place. Crawling, and around goes the 54 of Mo Perry. He got into Ali Fonseca, and Adam Johnson has nowhere to go.
Calamity corner.
Things heating up in a hurry here in Hickory. We've got some Hickory smoked beef coming out here. Tell you what. Try to take a look from the restart. Mo Perry was the first one we saw around. We saw him make contact with Ali Fonseca and the aid of Bojangles machine of Adam Johnson. Johnson gets in there super deep, gets into the back of Perry, turns him sideways, and well, I tell you what, if I thought that last EOL was fair, I know what I think about the next one. Nothing against Adam there, you know, he dove it in deep, got it a little over his head, got into the back of that 54 machine, and unfortunately took out a couple of good cars. Meanwhile, Braxton DeWeese was able to get up to 5th place on that restart. Stephen Coleman up in here rooting for Brandon Elvis. You know, there's a lot of Braxton DeWeese fans. Chris, we always love to have you up in here, and we know you've got some feelings about the previous yellow and what took place there. Braxton sitting in 5th place. He might still have himself a good chance to recover. This thing's not over. Meanwhile, Ryan Honeycutt trying to go out and get himself a win. Brandon Elvis running strong. Got a couple of fans in the chat. He's sitting here in second. Green flag back out big time. Tire spin for Dominic Chisholm in 5th place. Or he was in 3rd, but now he's in 5th. Crawley comes to the top side. Going to make good time on him. Cochran and DeWeese right next to each other once again. Here's Dominic Chisholm and Aaron Crawley running side by side for 3rd. Crawley trying to utilize that outside, but there's just not enough grip up there. Dominic Chisholm noses ahead coming up off of turn number 2. A little bit sideways.
Yeah, he got a little bit sideways down on the entry. Tires are getting real worn down of the abrasive surface. It's super rough out there. They've been running almost 90 laps as well. Not the best track for tires. Definitely making a couple of sales. I do believe they're running Hoosier Racing tires. They are.
Look at how close Danny Cochran and Aaron Crawley are getting to each other. Now Crawley comes back behind Cochran. Looked like he was going to try to put the bumper to him, but didn't quite have enough, or maybe just decided against it there. Braxton DeWeese moves up into 4th place. Danny Cochran into 5th. Remember, these two are tied coming into this race for the points battle. A little bit of contact between them while they were racing for the lead. Braxton got wrecked. Danny Cochran got sent to the back for making the contact. Now these guys running 4th and 5th. Here comes Danny Cochran back to the inside. Loose once again on the inside of DeWeese. Are they going to hit? It looked like they did through turns 3 and 4. Cochran staying strong on the bottom side, trying to get around that 8 machine. And I tell you what, Braxton does not want to give him any space. Cochran gets around. He's going to get cleared. Does DeWeese try to cross him over? Doesn't quite have enough. And Danny Cochran up into 4th place now in front of Braxton DeWeese. Looked like a pretty clean pass to me. These guys racing each other's guts out. They get through clean, and oh, big time sideways for Cochran. That's going to give DeWeese the outside. Does he try to cross it back over?
DeWeese would have had to go on the outside of Danny Cochran to make that pass, but definitely allowed DeWeese to close back in. I'm just not sure if that damage is helping him out as much as it probably needs to be going on this racetrack. I mean, I know it's a short track, but even so, the damage on a super late model can affect you about anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, these things make ridiculously high downforce, and they've got amazing horsepower. They've got some of the highest mid-corner speeds that we'll see out of any sort of asphalt race car, you know, arguably other than, you say, IndyCar or something like that. But these cars are ridiculously fast through the corner. Like you mentioned, Corey, a little bit of damage could go a long way. And we saw how big of a hit Braxton took. I'm honestly shocked that he's able to run as quick as he is so far, running in the top 5, just under a second and a half behind the race leader. Meanwhile, we've got Dominic Chisholm trying to get all over Brandon Elvis's rear bumper. Here's a good moment for us to give you a bit of a turn it up. Let you hear the sounds of the engines and the sounds of these guys racing past the cameras. We'll be right back in a few. Braxton DeWeese having problems here. He got into the wall really hard there getting into turns 1 and 2, and it seems like that car is an absolute handful. Not necessarily a next gen by any stretch of the means, but I'd have to say it looks like a toe link is broken on that Allen's Art Images number 8. Hefty contact into the outside wall, and that thing looks to be crab walking right now.
Yeah, and he just
Oh, and he's
spun out in front
around!
of Johnson. Oh my.
The caution comes out here with 25 laps to go. Braxton's going to go a lap down, I believe, since he's behind the pace car. Nope, he gets to go around, but look at how that car is crab walking. He made hefty contact with the outside wall. Gonna go ahead and try to go back. Look at what happened.
There you go, at the point of the wall incident.
Yeah, shout out to Corey here. That was abrupt. Corey B, one of the best in the booth that I could have with me, showing us these phenomenal angles and telling me exactly where to look. So he got up into the wall down the front straightaway, kind of rode the wall a little bit. And that's what got him upset, or his car upset rather, into turns 1 and 2. And from there on out, it was just hold on for dear life.
Yeah, that's really what did him in, and then he ended up spinning out in front of Johnson. Being shown the meatball flag right now, chances are gone for him to have any better than a 9th place finish. Yeah, he's more than likely just going to hold on to 10th here, as Thomas Walter is already out of the race. Big points implication there, unless Danny ends up getting wrecked as well. I mean, still a good bit of racing left to go. Danny could always end up in the wall or upside down or something and end up in 9th.
We never want to hope that of our drivers, but what was Ryan doing there? Wrapped through the grass, getting a little bit of landscaping done down the backstretch here at Hickory.
Cooling the tires down, man. Come on.
There it is, cooling the tires down. We've got 1 lap until we go green. 22 laps to go. Going to be 21 at the restart here. I tell you what, it's going to be ourselves. We're going to have ourselves a fantastic finish. Let's look at how close these guys are. Brandon Elvis and Ryan Honeycutt practically touching doors down the back straightaway. Touching once again. Green flag is out as soon as the pace car goes off. Honeycutt, strong restart. Dominic Chisholm into 2nd place. I tell you what, if you're Ryan Honeycutt, that's maybe not what you want to see, but a huge sideways moment. Oh, big sideways out of the 54 of Brandon Elvis. He's going to keep it straight. Danny Cochran up into 2nd place. Dominic Chisholm goes back to 4th. Ollie Fonseca, Aaron Kralik race for 5th place. Up the racetrack goes Aaron Kralik. It's Ollie Fonseca. And Mo Perry hard into the wall after contact with Ollie Fonseca. Trying to come back down the racetrack. Mo Perry got turned upside down. Drives away somehow, and golly gee willikers, Corey, we've got ourselves another restart coming our way. I don't know where to start breaking that down, but we're gonna try. So you can see Chisholm got into the 54, got them sideways. Both of them got sideways. Kralik and Fonseca get side by side. Kralik jumps up the racetrack, puts Fonseca wide, and then when Fonseca comes down, he just maybe doesn't know the 54 is there and just kind of right hooks him. I mean, that's a really ugly move. I don't think that was intentional by any stretch of the means, but right hooks are always scary to see. Again, I don't think there was anything intentional there. I think he was just trying to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. Didn't know the 54 was there. But I'm glad the 54 is able to keep going here. Mo Perry. Hefty damage there after that impact.
Yeah, definitely some hard contact in that wreck.
About 16 laps to go right now. Ryan Honeycutt trying to take away the victory here at Hickory. Danny Cochran, he's got himself a huge chance to move forward in the points battle right now. Braxton Louise is out of the race. Danny Cochran, if he can win this race, he's going to get as much of a gap into the final race as he possibly can. However, there's still 15 laps to go. He's got to finish this thing. But the way these guys have been racing, pushing, the later they get into this race, every spot matters. And I tell you what, pace car moves in. Ryan Honeycutt down at the bottom of the racetrack. Little bit of tire spin out of Cochran. Elvis looks down to the inside for second place. Doesn't quite have enough. Yes, he does. He's down to the inside of Cochran for second place. Brandon Elvis works down to the inside, slides up the racetrack, pushes Cochran up the racetrack. Here comes Chisholm down on the inside for second place. Kralik tries to take away fourth. Dominic Chisholm going to take away second place for Brandon Elvis. Meanwhile, Ryan Honeycutt's loving this. A little bit sideways out of 2 for Chisholm. That's going to put Elvis down to the bottom. A little bit of contact there. Gets sideways for the 87. Caution has come out once again as Thomas Walter. Adam Johnson has a problem as well. Mo Perry. I believe it was for Adam Johnson, the caution coming out here. Johnson, big time sideways. That was enough to bring out the caution here. So Ryan Honeycutt, he's going to have himself a restart with less than 10 laps to go to try to hold on to this race win. Corey, I know you're a big short track guy, but you're more on the dirt side. What is going through your head here when you've got yourself a late race caution, a late race restart, you're in a position to win?
You just got to push that car to the absolute limit until it wants to spin out on you, and then when it starts to spin out on you, you just keep on the throttle and hope someone is there to help straighten your car out.
Well, like I said, we're not rocking dirt here. It's asphalt stuff is a little bit more, a little bit less likely to get that sideways, but the message is kind of the same. You go as hard as you possibly can, and when you think you hit that limit, you just push a little bit harder. You're out here for a race win. Corey, we've seen incredible racing throughout the course of this season. We've got ourselves a little bit of a, it looks like 7-lap shootout. You think we've seen the last of cautions, or?
Hopefully we've seen the last bit of the cautions here. I mean, these drivers are a little bit hungrier now that it's closed in, and we're fixing to go back green with Honeycutt on control. Oh, and Honeycutt, big old slide out of the rear tires. This is going to allow Chisholm to maybe look on the outside. And there,
54 goes around Brandon Elvis, and Dominic Chisholm may have been your race leader. I think the 87 was out front. We're going to take a look at this whole thing right away. Coming from the restart down the back straightaway. Honeycutt tries his normal cut down, but spins the tires when he shifts. It gives Chisholm the chance to get to his outside, and Danny Cochran into the back bumper of the number 54 machine gets him turned around. And I tell you what, probably not the greatest thing for Danny Cochran's points standings throughout the course of this race, but we'll see how that is, how that's dealt with. I tell you what, man, we got 4 laps to go. Near overtime here at Hickory Speedway. Lights still on the pace car, which leads us into overtime.
They're gonna officially push this race into overtime. Dweeza's back on the track, 20 laps down though. No chance of making up any kind of spots, just here to be here.
Danny Cochran has come into the pits. Lights are off on the pace car. We've still got 3 laps to go, so overtime is happening. Going to be Dominic Chisholm, Ryan Honeycutt, Aaron Crawley, Collie Fonseca, Mark Keeler, Mo Perry, Brandon Elvis, Adam Johnson. Danny Cochran is out of the race. It looks like he is still on pit lane, about to go 2 laps down. So Danny Cochran and Braxton Louise will finish 9th and 10th respectively. Green flag is out for overtime. Around goes Aaron Kralik already. Sideways on the front straightaway. Is the caution going to come out? He's sideways still. He takes
All that force.
side by side for the race lead. He got off the racetrack. We're side by side. Cover to the white flag. Dominic Chisholm on the outside. Ryan Honeycutt to the inside. The inside has been the dominant line all night. Can Dominic Chisholm make it happen on the top side? He's still got the nose up in front. Big time loose moment for Ryan Honeycutt. And Ryan Honeycutt's going to get through. Mo Perry gets around in turns 3 and 4, but Ryan Honeycutt comes across the line, wins the race. I tell you what, man, that big checkup in turns 3 and 4 made me think something happened. But Ryan Honeycutt wins the race. Dominic Chisholm, Ollie Fonseca rounds out your podium. Going to go ahead and watch Honeycutt burn it down, and then we're going to go ahead and give you guys your finishing order. Ryan Honeycutt gets the job done over Dominic Chisholm, Ollie Fonseca, Mark Keeler, Adam Johnson, Mo Perry, Brandon Elvis, Aaron Kralik, Danny Cochran, Braxton Louise, and Thomas Walter round out the field after an incredible race here at Hickory and a lot of late race drama. We're going to go ahead and speak with your podium in just a few moments here. First in the podium is your race winner, Ryan Honeycutt. And I tell you what, man, that could not have been any more difficult. I mean, Dominic Chisholm, he got the lead on that previous restart. You were stuck on the outside. Walk us through that last green-white checker.
Well, the restart before I spun my tires, dude, I've literally had some of the worst string of races over the past like month or so. League races, official races, dude, I can't win. I've probably finished second a good, like, probably 10 races in the past month and haven't won a single one of them. So, of course, I spun my tires and the caution came out and I lost the lead. And another caution came out. I started on the high side. Guy behind me spun and somehow there wasn't a caution. And I think I dived it underneath him, dude. I can't remember. And I was so loose on entry from where I wore my tires out. I wore my rear tires out trying to save my fronts. Well, I saved wore my fronts out trying to save my rear, then wore my rears out trying to get my fronts back. So I was real loose, and then I got down in the corner on the final corner and just I got on the brakes a little too hard and got loose. I didn't mean to get up into him. He was upset about that, but he should know I don't race like that. I raced him clean last week, and he came out on top, and just unfortunately it didn't come out that way for him this week.
But you threw together an amazing race, and you know you didn't start up in the front row. I think you started third after the heat race, but you know, you had yourself some ups and downs, much like everybody. Walk us through running through the field the way that you did, you know, passing these guys, cutting up through there, and getting up to the front.
Yeah, I just saved my tires real hard early. I know I had a string of them behind me that were getting frustrated with me, and I got gifted a lot of positions there. I mean, that was kind of my thing. Whenever I spun my tires, I was so mad at myself. I was gifted this and I almost threw it away. So I don't even really remember passing anyone except for on that final restart right there. I think I was gifted every single pass. So, um, but I mean, I guess however you got to get them, you got to get them.
Well, Ryan, you got the job done here. You got them how you could, and you got the most important one, the pass lead on the last lap. Who do you want to give a shout out to? Who helps you get it done? Who's on that race car? Before we let you go.
Yeah, all the people that make the car get to actual Hickory every weekend. Talkies, Rockin' Oven, a lot of other people on that car that we could go on a long list of them, but I appreciate all of them. The YouTube channel and all socials, Johnson Racing Media, we vlog everything, so a list of the sponsors are on there too. So just everyone that makes that happen, makes every Saturday night, have fun and make the dream come true. Those people.
So, just real quick, so you race at actual Hickory?
No, I spot at Hickory every Saturday pretty much, so, and limited late models, so.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. Definitely gives you a different perspective of this racetrack, and glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, I
It's
appreciate
Ryan
it.
Honeycutt, your race winner here at Hickory. You spent some time up in the stands. Now he gets to spend some time at Victory Lane. Ryan Honeycutt, driver of the 75. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Now we've got ourselves Dominic Chisholm in second place. Dominic, I tell you what, man, you had an amazing restart that second to last time around. You took the lead, took advantage of the 75 spinning his tires, and when that caution came out, you just had the nose out front. Walk us through your entire day, because we know you went up and down throughout the field.
Yeah. Well, it's well, I had a strong qualifying practice run. So I started up front, and then what was it? A P2 finished in the heat race, so I started second for the feature. Basically the plan was I thought there was going to be a lot of cautions early on the race, so the plan was just to chill and not race for position, just stay behind the leader. But there weren't any cautions, so it was basically just fuel and tire kind of game. And then caution came out, and I decided to play the fuel game and not take any fuel, which kind of worked out for me with all those cautions at the end. But then I was involved in quotation marks in an incident going into turn 3. It was just hard racing. I was on his bumper. I didn't mean to hit him, and it's stupid that the caution flag was thrown out because he didn't even spin out. He wasn't even 90 degrees sideways. He was saving it.
Yeah, I think that was an iRacing thing there, because I said the same thing. I mean, and you played that well. You obviously didn't mean to get into him. You let off. You let him hold on to the space. The caution came out. You got that penalty. You had to work your way back up through.
Right. And I didn't want to fight against race control, because that's just fighting against race control is not the way to go around here. So you just gotta leave it be and just like just improve on those mistakes.
You had an incredible last 10 laps, and that second to last restart, you took the lead. You had the inside lane on the green-white checker. Walk us through that finish there with Ryan, and
yeah.
Do you think there was anything more you could have done there?
Let me tell you one thing first. This whole race, I was like 2 laps short or 3 laps short on fuel the whole entire race, and I was terrified the whole race. I was like shaking over here. I was like terrified if I was gonna make it, and all those cautions. Anyways, the last couple of restarts. The finish, man. I race Hickory a lot. I race this track a lot with my friends, and that typical last lap move when you're side by side, door banging each other. It's what I always do. I always do it to my friends, and we always do it to each other back. And I was hoping for a side by side finish, not a kind of door bang, clean win, or like a dirty win. I don't want to call it dirty because he might have actually gotten loose, but
I gotta stay unbiased, but he did get loose under braking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what set him up into you. And
Yeah. Well, as long as it wasn't
look, I mean,
intentional, I'm not
look at
super
the
bothered
replay.
by
You
it.
know, you make your own judgment there. I don't want to sit here and try to, Sorry,
Well, I haven't looked at the replay yet, but as long as it wasn't intentional, I'm not really bothered by it. It was still some good racing. I went from the front of the field to all the way to P last, all the way back up to front. So, I'm proud of I'm proud of the run I had throughout the race, and the fuel saving, the tire saving really paid off because the outside lane was hanging on for those last 2 laps, and I was really, really hoping for that side by side finish, man. But it is what it is. Just short track racing.
He'll come home second. Super strong run for you in that 87 machine. Who's on that car? Who do you want to thank for getting that job done?
Well, no one's on that car. I found that car paint paints, but I do want to thank my IRL sponsors, Coastal Car Care, Switchables, Coastal Hem Company, and SJC Real Estate for helping helping me in my IRL Legend Racing. And then I want to thank VASTT for hosting the show and giving me the opportunity to run. And then you guys for hosting the show on YouTube, giving my family and some friends the opportunity to watch the stream and help support.
Awesome stuff, Dominic. Congratulations on the second place finish here, and we'll hopefully be talking to you again next week.
Hopefully.
All right, now we've got third place, Ollie Fonseca. Corey, I believe you've got Ollie.
Hey, Ollie, you get a copy on me?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, man, definitely hard charger here, up 7 spots from where you started this thing. Just talk us through how easy or how hard it was for you to get up there.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I haven't had as much time to really practice for these races as I normally do. And especially a track like Hickory, that's just a really tough place to drive. So I was just kind of learning every lap as I went, just doing my best just to save tires and try to get in a rhythm. And when I could get in a rhythm, I was going forward and I was able to get right up to people's bumpers. But it was just trying to pass. It's so hard to pass this bottom dominant track. I mean, it's fun. It's definitely an interesting place to run. But yeah, every single time I catch someone, it'd be pretty tricky to, not hit them or just, get around them. So that was the issue I had, was passing. But I had fun, and it's pretty exciting to drive my way up to third. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'll take it.
Absolutely, man. You were able to get it done, get up through the field, cutting through. You got anybody you like to thank here tonight?
Yeah, just my grandparents. You guys for putting this on every night. We appreciate it. We're excited to wrap this first season up. I love what I've seen, and I can't wait to run this back again with this group of guys. It's really exciting, and just thanks to all the guys that run. And let's finish out strong next week.
There you have, folks. That's your third place driver, Ollie Fonseca.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to about do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. After an incredible race here at Hickory Motor Speedway, Ryan Honeycutt gets the job done over Dominic Chisholm, Ollie Fonseca, Mark Keeler, Adam Johnson, Mo Perry, Brandon Elvis, Aaron Kralik, Danny Cochran, Rex Ruiz, and Thomas Walter. We had ourselves an incredible last lap battle here, side by side for the race win. Ryan Honeycutt gets the job done over Danny Cochran, or over Dominic Chisholm, rather. We were truly spoiled here tonight at Hickory. We've got one more to go next week at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And I tell you what, both of these drivers up in the top 2 for points, having terrible finishes, 9th and 10th out of 11 cars. That's going to bring us an incredible battle next week for the points. Can't wait to see it. I'm Liam Urbig. Sorry, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely going to be exciting next week here.
Yeah, I'm Liam Urbig with Corey B up in the booth. That's going to do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. We'll catch you next time.